On this episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast, we were lucky enough to be joined by the Salt Lake City hardcore band Absolved. We talked about how they got their start, what it was like being a band during COVID, what their influences are, and there's some Lord of the Rings sprinkled in throughout the episode. So let's open this pit up.
Somebody hit somebody!
Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast. You have me, Trevor, and Kyle, and this week we're joined by a couple of the dudes from Absolved. So we have Jacob, the vocalist, and we have Mike, the guitarist, here with us. Appreciate you guys jumping on. How are you guys?
Doing good, man. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
What he said, doing great.
Nice.
So,
Well, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm going to come out real quick and say, Jacob, we actually have met. We've been to shows together back in the day.
Really?
I took a picture with you and said you looked like my cousin.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Josh Nemchek still brings it up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your cousin and me. That was okay, dude. I'm
just glad. Look, I'm just glad you remembered. That's all I wanted. We can end the interview. Jacob remembers that I said he looked like my cousin, which is a super random fact that no one's going to care about. But to me, it matters.
I'm a weird still trap with like just crazy details and memories. I remember it was at the Avalon Theater in Murray. However, I can't tell you what show it was. I want to say it was a local showcase or something, but your cousin was there and you smashed us into a picture together and we went and showed everyone the picture and they all agreed. And I've yet to meet the lad since then. I don't know if he's still around and kicking, but
no, he died. I'm just kidding. No, yeah, he's around, but
oh my God.
Do we still have the picture? I'd love to see it.
He does not have the picture. I actually asked him when I heard you guys were coming on, but that's super random memory too. Cause I remember like two things about you. I remember you taking a picture of my cousin cause you guys looked exactly alike. And then you used to say this, like, you used to ask us some like impossible question to answer about the universe. And I couldn't remember what it was.
That does not ring a bell, man.
Well, I just remember you saying it and you were like laughing because we all couldn't answer it. And I was just like,
I probably couldn't even answer it. That's why I've forgotten it, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Good times. Sorry to interrupt, but we're good. We can end now or whatever. Go to break. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead.
We don't break on this show. So, but no, like you guys are local band from Salt Lake City. So you guys started 2021. Am I correct in saying that? Okay. How'd you guys get together?
Why don't you spearhead this there, Nemesio?
Okay. So Jake used to play in this band, Despite Despair. He was one of my favorite vocalists. We used to play a bunch of shows together with different bands. I was in a band called Hitchhiker, and I don't think Cool Your Jets ever played with Despite Despair, as far as I remember.
We did once or twice, but yeah.
Did we? All right. Was it with me or was it the other group?
It was you. We played with Trial.
Oh, yeah. I always forget that show.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Jake took some time off from music to raise his kids and be responsible. And I apparently I couldn't let that slide. So every couple of months or every time I'd see him, I'd be like, hey, you should start a band. Hey, you started a band yet? You should be in a band. Are you in a band yet? You should start a band. And eventually he decided he wanted to start. And I was like, hey, I'll do that. I mean, it was the height of pandemic too. So we're like, hey, we got time on our hands. Let's try this out.
No, sweet. So you guys are the ones who kind of got together, got to go. And how'd you bring the other guys in?
We were acting because for the first little bit of demoing a few things, it was just me and you just kind of kicking up ideas. I mean, Mike had 3 or 4 kind of half-baked tracks ready to really kind of give a place marker of what we were going for. And we didn't know really where to start. I reached out to our buddy and my close friend, Nick Karchner, our current drummer, just because like he's been the buddy for a long time. And just like Mike, he's a person that I saw playing other bands when we'd be on shows with them. And specifically him and Nick, I'd be like, oh, that's someone I would like love to be in a band with someday, like on the short wish list of local musicians. Just by the way, especially Nick, how he carried himself, his confidence behind the kit. I remember seeing him with his first band, Chain Down. He was 17. He wrote every instrument, every lyric, recorded everything for their first record, self-booked a DIY West Coast tour age 17. I remember thinking like, dude, that's the type of person I need to surround myself with. So I reached out to him kind of under the guise of like, hey, could you help us just jam through these? I don't want to tie you down or anything, because he was also in full swing with, he'd been in Victim to None for a couple years up until that point, and they were getting pretty serious with touring and recording and stuff. So I knew he probably didn't have a ton of time on his hands. So we tried to get our foot in the door with just the plea of, can you just help jam these with us? So that's how we got Nick in the project.
Well, and realistically, the three of us have been like circling each other forever, trying to figure out something to do. Me and Nick individually have, me and Jake and Nick. So it's just like this perfect like combination of like, oh, all three of us have this thing that we'd love to work on together. So it felt like the second Nick was in, it was just like we all gelled immediately.
Right. And really, it only took about, I don't even think by the second practice, we were like, oh, wow, yeah, let's take this more serious than we let on. Because up until that point, it was like, let's maybe play 1 or 2 shows a year. Like it can just be a fun hobby. Like this was me coming back from not playing shows for like 5 or 6 years. So I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know if people would have any interest in what we were doing. I didn't know what my time and what my interest would look like with it going forward. And it really just all hit off right off the bat, man. We ran with it, and we had that first EP ready and recorded within just a few months. That was just the three of us that did everything on that first record. That's before we even had a full lineup, just us jamming, demoing, fleshing it out, cutting the fat, and just working through the recording process. So yeah, it came out, I think, a little bit more fully baked, just because of the time we put into it and how long we've been jonesing to work with each other. And then the rest of the lineup just came from there. Tyson, our bassist, has always been the boy. I mean, he's the chillest hang you'll ever have in your life, if either of you guys know him. And him and Mike have been in several bands throughout the years too, so he was a shoo-in. We had Cody join the band, which it's kind of funny how he got in. He was there at Nick's studio tracking with his pop punk band at the time, and we kind of poached him from there. So kind of hand plucked from the front lines, one that we knew could hold it down, could riff really well. And what really impresses us is he had like a really good music theory knowledge too. And we're like, let's see how this, plays into the mix too. So yeah.
Well, that's sick. I mean, in terms of like music knowledge, like melodic hardcore, that's a place for a guy to be. Like pop punk, you don't need music knowledge. You don't need to know the theory behind it, right? Like this is a better fit for him. So that's way dope. So that first EP, so Eldar, this is the height of the pandemic. So Mike, did you have like a bunch of songs like ready to go, or was this fresh when you guys decided, well, let's start to play like some melodic stuff, or what was that like?
Because that's one of the questions I like to ask is like, out of all the genres that you could pick, why did you pick this? Like, why did you write this?
Essentially, it really boils down to like I love pretty guitar leads, and I love breakdowns. End of list, those just kind of work well together for me in that. And so like I didn't really like go into it thinking I want to write like melodic hardcore. It was just like, well, I like playing these cool because I'm in my bones, I'm a rock and roll guy. I started out learning rock and roll guitar, and then I discovered, heavy metal and then hardcore, and that's where I got into it. I didn't come through the punk route necessarily. So, 4 or 3 chord songs were never really my jam. I liked guitar solos and stuff like that. And leads are kind of my version of guitar solos, essentially. Essentially, I had most of all of Breathe New Life, our song that was Breathe New Life, ready to go by this point. I was like, hey, I've got this song, and then I've got like bits and pieces of what became Kinslaying, just recorded, nothing put together or fixed yet, or like, no, I don't think I had a breakdown or anything. And so it was a good like jumping off point, essentially, just stuff I had in my back pocket. I've always got a couple of different things for different projects in my back pocket, like if I ever make a pop punk band, or death metal band or something like that. Like I've always got something in the works, and that felt like the thing I wanted to do the most, and it seemed like it would work really well with Jake's vocal style as well, because it was that higher register and very earnest and straightforward. It just kind of made sense.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
totally.
I'll definitely let me tag on to that real quick. Mike? I would love to know if you remember when we first were really getting talking of doing the project together. You were like, "What sort of stuff do you want to do? What do you sound like?" Do you remember at all what I said?
No.
I said I want to do something chaotic like Dangers or like Ludax or something like that. And you're like, well, this is what I have. So this is nothing of what you just said. But I think that's a testament to why it worked. I listened to that Breathe New Life demo, and was just like, oh shit, dude, this is the stuff I miss. This is the stuff I really cut my teeth on getting into hardcore all those years ago. And the lyrics just started just pouring out of me, man. Like I had lyrics to our first 2 or 3 songs, I think within just a week or two. Like it was already there. So a lot of things just fell in place perfectly for us, and the sound just made sense to me. And yeah, the melodic stuff to me always was a lot more honest and earnest, and really without this egotistical like machismo that's part of hardcore, which I love too. I mean, I love getting caveman in the pit and getting ignorant with the best of them. But at the end of the day, what's most authentic to me is music where I feel something and makes me think, and shit I can relate to. And that's why I always came back to, bands like, Go It Alone in Verse, Sinking Ships, stuff like that. So it was really cool and reminded me just of my youth, and made me think like, oh, dude, like 16-year-old me would be really stoked that I'm working on songs like this right now. So it all just felt right.
Yeah, I'd say we were a lot more influences from like early Bridge 9. I'm not sure if it's early or late. Like, I just what was the record label champion or not champion? Trial was on.
Panic. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm the Southern California one.
Yeah, like all those bands. Like I didn't think we were necessarily like melodic hardcore. I just kind of thought we were like faster hardcore with octave chords. The melodic thing didn't really like play into our brains until like people started telling us, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I see that.
Are you talking new age?
New age, that's the one. Yeah.
Yep.
New age bands, face down bands, Bridge 9 bands. Those were big for me growing up. That's where
good face down bands, Now they've turned weird. Not a big face down guy anymore.
Yeah, the last 10 years have not been my favorite roster, but the Face Down Fest 2004, that was a good time for me.
I think that's also why we resonate with a lot of hardcore kids too. And I listened to your guys' episode you put out where you said some very, very kind words about us. So first and foremost, we appreciate that. You said, well, they're melodic hardcore, but they really lean like way more. I don't remember if you said sonically or within the ethos of it all, but way more into like your down home grassroots hardcore, which I think is very much at the center of it. Like we're just hardcore kids with hardcore backgrounds that just happen to be playing this subgenre of the music that we love. So I hope to never lose that, because there are kind of two distinct separations when you say melodic hardcore to people, right? Like they'll think
it's like its own scene.
Right. This big procore sort of big stage, big room tours, which is totally cool and fine. And it's stuff I fuck with too, like counterparts and stuff, but like we're not that. We're not as metallic. We're not as, I guess, polished, formulaic or whatever. Like we're our own thing.
No, I'll be okay. Polished and professional, whatever that. No, you guys are wrong, because you guys sound just as good as like any of those bands and stuff. Like, sure, they get the big bucks for the big studios and stuff, but I'd much rather be, going caveman to you guys than some of those big, larger bands and stuff. So, seriously, appreciate the sound, because I'm the same way. Like, I came into hardcore through punk, But the second I started hearing like melodic stuff, like you brought up like Verse and Sinking Ship, like holy cow, those are just incredible, perfect bands for that sound, you know? And so no, you guys definitely hit the nail on the head. And I live out in Dallas and I've been out here for a few years. So I wasn't around like the Salt Lake scene when you guys started popping up and stuff. I actually caught you guys on Reddit. People were talking about melodic hardcore and they're like, dude, check out Absolved from Salt Lake City. So I was like, oh, sick, Salt Lake City. I'm going to check it out. And then I was
There's
like,
a good
no,
chance that was us.
It probably was. And that's fine. But hey, like, look, I'm down here in Texas and I found you guys in it, but it's 100% a sound that, you know, because you're right. Like sometimes like caveman hardcore is fun. Sometimes like the super punk focused hardcore, like Restraining Order and stuff is fun. But then sometimes I need something that's hardcore, but it's also like easy and good to listen to, you know? So
yeah,
it's a little bit more digestible and approachable, I guess. Like we have a lot of young kids coming out to our shows. I definitely can't give any details about the person, but we played a show in Ogden earlier this week and I gave like a 13, 14-year-old kid a drive home to West Valley because he somehow got up to the show by himself with all of his little friends. So I'm glad we can be somewhat of like an entry point band in the local scene for these kids to come out to. And, you know, because we all had those coming up and growing up too. So it's really cool to see time kind of repeat itself in that way and that we could be an integral part of it, man. It's so cool.
Listen, if I can shed some light onto being a 13, 14-year-old kid growing up into this, it's really dope of you to be able to give that guy a ride home because in all honesty, we had Kyle's mom being our chaperone for the majority of us coming up. So,
and it was sketchy. So my mom's crazy. So, but I will say though that we've talked about this a bit on the pod and this is, you know, stuff we wanted to talk to you guys about, but we all remember the scene growing up. We remember some of the difficulties towards the later 2000s and stuff. Right. It's cool though to hear you guys say that, like, yeah, we're a gateway band, but it's cool to hear that there's like younger kids coming out, that the scene's thriving, that there's less drama and shows getting canceled. And, you know, so kudos to you guys to be able to like participate in that. And I am jealous that I leave Utah right when it's getting fun. So, but like, how do you guys see the scene now in Salt Lake City? How do you feel is it growing? Is it healthy? Is it something that's, you know, thriving, or do you think there's still a lot of work to do?
It can be both things. I think post-pandemic, especially, something happened. I feel like across the board in all of hardcore, something happened that just like it became cool again for you know, the 16 to 21-year-old demographic. I know here playing gigs in like 2019, I was getting pretty worried because I was looking around and be like, you know, it'd be an accomplishment to get 40 people to a show, and then most of them were over the age of 28, even all ages shows. And then, you know, everyone goes into lockdown and we come back out of it. Some big internet sensation happens, and all of a sudden everyone's around the age of 18 to 20, and it's fantastic. I feel like if more than anything, we kind of caught that wave and have been able to like, we try to foster the growth of the scene as well as we can, but a lot of it just kind of happened. It felt like it was almost out of nowhere.
Yeah, we've talked about how hard it must have been to start a band during COVID, but that's a cool point that I never thought of, that with the explosion after COVID, it's probably a really great time to be a local band in the scene, right?
And I think that's why we're seeing such like a rich amount of bands popping up left and right. I mean, me and Mike, we handle all of our band social media together, and it is such a good problem to have to get new ads from bands that I've never heard of and go click on their page and be like, Salt Lake City Hardcore, and I have to text them like, who the hell's in this new band? You know what I mean? Because before, I mean, it was a handful of our friends and bands, and we'd all play the same shows together. You knew who was doing what. So to see kids and people you don't know come out of the woodwork to start new bands and feel the urgency of what's going on, we're like, oh shit, we need to jump on this now while the iron is hot. That's so cool to see. I think Dan Fletcher with Ill Will Zine says we're up to 40 to 50 hardcore or very hardcore adjacent bands. in Salt Lake right now, which is just, man,
Yeah.
that's so cool to see, and to see all these bands getting on bills together and having an all locals show, and 100 to 150 kids show up. That's not unheard of now. Like, me and Mike remember for a long time playing a show, 10 kids showed up, half the people were in the other band, and it'd be like, "Oh, dude, sick! Did you see some people were headbanging, or 3 people clapped for us, man? That's 2 more than last." You see kids coming out and raging to every single band, like kids just putting up because it's all locals. You know what I mean? Like, they feel this ecosystem going on, and everyone's, cross pollinating each other, and that's so sick. And all the other bands are showing up to support other bands too. Like that sort of urgency to support each other, and that camaraderie is there. So that's the stuff that really, really gets me excited, and people just really earnestly wanting to contribute. It's palpable. Like, at any given show, there can be 3 to 4
Yeah.
different people taking photos, like photographers there wanting to document and archive Salt Lake Hardcore, or bands coming and touring through. There's a couple zines now going on, some other podcasts, just like you guys. Like, people really excited and like sinking their teeth into this and making it a thing of substance rather than just another passing phase. Like, seeing how important it is to preserve this and keep these good times rolling as long as we can. So, I mean, there is a lot going on.
I think it's also worth pointing out too, like the quality of the bands post pandemic, I feel like just jumped up in level too. Like, at Run Into the Sun, Snake Eyes, Sewn Shut, Backhand. There's so I mean, I shouldn't do this because I'll end up not naming the wrong people or whatever. But back in the day, I feel like there were your handful of good local bands, and then a lot of local bands that were just
Trash.
kids having fun doing whatever. I
Call
would
it for what it is. We were in one of those
We were
trash
in one,
bands.
and
Like, it's all good.
Yeah, and
So-
we do this podcast with Josh
Yeah.
that was also in his handful, so don't worry.
It just, the things weren't clicking for whatever reason within the band, and just like the level of talent that came out of the woodwork all of a sudden, everybody was just on top of it and tight
Yeah.
and performing at a level that I feel like I hadn't seen in a while, especially locally like that. Like,
What I think is really cool too is there's a lot of diversity in sound too, like
Yeah.
bands like Mummy, and then you guys, and then Run Into the Sun. It's like there's very unique sounds, very diverse sounds coming out of Salt Lake, which, again, historically, I don't know that we really had that,
Yeah.
So it's definitely cool to hear that.
yeah, I feel like, but in the past, that diversity of sound would definitely be segregated to different shows. Like, these are the punk shows, these are the pop punk shows, these are the metal shows, these are the metalcore shows, these are the hardcore shows. And nowadays, a lot of the umbrella of hardcore has gotten a lot bigger, which some people don't like, but I personally love. So, like, us and Mummy and Johnny Baseball can all be on the same show, and we all sound very different, but we all work like together because everyone's just in it to jam, in it for the vibe.
Talk to us about this local showcase wrestling stuff that's going on that you guys just had a show with. What's this like wrestling scene that's happening?
So it's SLC Wars is I know next to nothing about wrestling and how the leagues are. I guess people call them federations. I have no idea, but it's a real like grassroots Salt Lake DIY wrestling for wrestling's sake. A lot of punk and hardcore kids just getting down and doing their shit. So yeah, they formed this new sort of, what would you call it, Mike? Do you call it a league? I don't
Promotion?
I don't even know. What?
Promotion? I don't know. I'm not a wrestling
Promotion.
guy either. This is
Yes.
this is very much Cody's brainchild.
Yeah. Very much melding local punk rock hardcore ethos with wrestling, so it's almost like it's indiscernible between the two, right? Like, and we played the inaugural one just a couple weekends ago, and
Yeah.
none of us knew what to expect. We had no idea going in, and shit rocked, man. It was really cool. More than anything, I guess I could be selfish, and my stance was, well, is it going to be more wrestling fans there that are confused at the hardcore, and more hardcore kids there confused with the wrestling? And it seemed like it was a really good mixed bag of each one, but each group of kids was assimilating with the other and having a good time. So like, we'd have a band play, kids were stage diving, moshing, singing along, and then we literally all turn around because it's in this packed space, and this little ring is in the middle, and we see grown men beat the shit out of each other with a folding chair or table, or some guy somehow beat up another one with a box of nerds. That was a
Christmas
first.
tree.
I mean, I've seen nerds get stomped at shows before, but not in this way. You know what I mean? So
I guess the like Venn diagram of getting hit with a chair with like hardcore and wrestling is just a circle now. It's not like an overlap. It's just a circle because it happens at both, right? So
now that you
makes
mention it,
sense.
I've for sure seen a chair slam at a show before. So
Sure.
might have been shows you guys have been to too.
The
but
aftermath
at least this
video.
one was definitely
Exactly.
So no, man, it's really cool, and I guess they have 3 more shows on the roster coming up. So bands are eager to get in on it. I mean, if this first one was any indication of how it's going to be, I think it's something that can really take off and set Salt Lake apart even further, man. There was a lot of videos and reels and promotions that got sent out that got like shared to the moon and back. So I think people liked the initial confusion about it, but saw how much without a hitch it went off. So it was
That's
fun.
dope. It's dope.
That is
I
actually
think
way
that a
cool.
lot of this like crossover probably started with like Andy Williams from Every Time I Die because of everything that he does with AEW. And I think that back, probably 7-8 years ago, I think that the Every Time I Die holiday show used to do a wrestling event during it as well. So I think that crossover is kind of there. When are we going to see Absolved playing like walkout music to one of these guys?
Live, I don't know, but one of the wrestlers has played our songs to
Oh,
his
sick.
playing in other promos. So, but are you talking about doing the whole Code Orange or Incendiary?
Dude.
It was one of them or both of them that played at a live walkout, like on the runway. So
I think you're right. I don't remember who it was. And listen, like, I'm not a huge wrestling fan. We've had wrestling debates on this podcast about what's more popular, wrestling or like this genre of music. And
It's wrestling.
Okay, hold on though. That's not the whole question. That's not the whole
If
question.
it's just popular,
That's the
No.
only part of the question you
No,
need
it's
to know.
not, dude. Because the question came down to from a stance of like straight edge popular. Who's more popular, Davey Havoc or CM Punk?
Oh, CM
And
Punk.
within
dude.
I
straight
argue
edge
Davey Havoc.
or just
It's
into the
gotta be
public
CM
in general.
I mean, I'd say more than half of, we won't even say avid, just casual fans of AFI that are going to their 5,000 cap room shows have no idea what that's about. You know what I mean?
Dude, you think all the like redneck people drinking beers out to watching WWE know like what CM Punk's about?
Of course he
They
does,
do.
dude. Have you seen how gaudy he gets with it? Like straight edge means I'm better than you.
I don't know.
Case in point, man, I used to love to go troll the straight edge subreddit probably 10, 12 years ago. And I remember creating a burner account and saying like, I'm so glad I found this religion. I'm so thankful for CM Punk for inventing it. My life is changed for the better. And I got like 10,000 hate comments. So I don't know. Whether it's good attention or bad attention, he's spreading the good word somehow.
Look, I'll accept defeat with you guys, but not with Trevor. So
The only reason I actually wanted to bring you on was to bring that up. So
yeah,
we're good.
they're gonna back you. Okay.
I mean, honestly, you're asking the wrong guys. We know plenty about straight edge, but not a lot about wrestling.
Yeah, but you do know CM Punk, which there we go. So
But they
there
only
we
know
go.
CM Punk. Look,
Because
CM
of
Punk
straight
wouldn't
edge.
be CM Punk if it wasn't for Davey Havoc. I think he's even said that. So
Oh,
this is a totally made up quote by Kyle right now.
no,
So
it's not. And we're gonna spend the rest of the time talking about this and going over it. So
no, we're actually not. But Okay, serious question for you guys. So on your guys' Spotify, I was just, reading through your kind of bio, and you put all about your lyrics coming from your anxieties, frustrations, passions, love, but then Tolkien imagery.
Ooh.
So talk to me about Tolkien. Like, why so much of Tolkien?
I'll take the lead here, sweet Michael. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings stuff has been my favorite shit since I was a little kid. It's been a lot of the stories and themes have been like a point of like strength and courage throughout my life too. Like if we're really going to get cheesy with it. And it still gets me so stoked, man. Like anytime I read the books or watch the movies or get in 3 a.m. conversations with the band, not letting them go home to see their families, I still feel like the same excitement and feelings that I did when I was like 12, 13, 14, seeing those movies for the first time in the theaters, over Christmas break and stuff. So like it was a missed opportunity I had with my other bands where I was like, oh, well, I care so much what other people think. And now I really don't give a shit. So I'm like, I'm going to write about the things I love, which is like my children, my friends, and goddamn J.R.R. Tolkien, dude. So a lot of it, man. But the compromise I kind of came up with writing this is like, I didn't want it to be so extremely on the nose. Like we can't write a song called like The Plight of Gollum through, whatever. So I
we're not
dressed it up a little
Sabaton.
bit. What?
Yeah.
We're not Sabaton.
You're not
Sabaton.
a power metal band.
Yeah, Sabaton.
I guess they really only
Gorgoroth.
write about World War II, but you know what
Galactic
I mean. Power metal.
Empire.
Yeah. Or Mandalore.
Mandalore.
You guys could totally be the like on tour with Galactic Empire, but then dress up like Lord of the Rings and just play metal Lord of the Rings songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bridge too far.
Yeah. A lot of it comes from that. A lot of it comes from, two of our main kind of Tolkien inspired songs is Kinslaying and Helm, and they're both some of my favorite stories from the Silmarillion, which if you're not too familiar, it's kind of the deeper lore, deeper history of the world of Middle Earth, like leading up to like 100,000 years before the story of the Lord of the Rings. Like there's so much shit in there that I love that, I always said with every release, I'm gonna sneak something in there, man. I'm gonna have some continuity when it comes to the Tolkien stuff. So it's been fun. And people approach me at the show, like, what the hell is that song about? I can't even, because everything else is pretty, I won't say straightforward, but you can at least plug yourself into the raw emotion or whatever that's going on in the rest of our songs. But some people are like, dude, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about here.
You pull out like a pocketbook of the Silmarillion. Let me show you.
Easy,
Have you heard the good word?
The sons of Israel took on a treacherous oath in the first age of men to reclaim the Silmarils. And like, I don't do that shit. I more pull the Mormon thing of like, I challenge you to go read these stories and pray if you know that they're true, sort of thing. I challenge you to read the Silmarillion by next show. So
I love that. So, instead of putting on like a little name badge, you just pull out the One Ring and like slip it on.
Little pamphlets and shit, dude.
So thoughts about the Amazon Prime show then?
Not a huge fan. I watched it. If I didn't know so much about the deep lore, I could sit and enjoy it almost like a popcorn movie, like watching Transformers or something.
Yeah.
But there are such glaring inconsistencies and things that just literally don't make any sense within the timeline or characters' motivations or interactions. I'm hoping they right a lot of wrongs in the second season, but I'm not feeling it. I don't know how you feel, Mike.
I think the things that most people hate about it are not the problems I have. Like casting black actors to play elves.
Oh,
he was the best elf in the show
he
next
was.
to Elrond. All the rest of them kind of sucked.
Yeah. Celebrimbor looking like your PE substitute teacher was not a good move.
Why did they all get haircuts?
Yeah, dude. Elves are supposed to have long-ass hair to show like how aloof they are to other people and the perception of time. And I don't know.
Yeah. The only good part I felt like was the relationship with Durin.
That was
That
cool.
acting, like that stuff. I was like, okay, why can't it all be this? But it's been years since I've read the Silmarillion, read all the books, watched all the movies and stuff. So there were stuff that I was like, yep, I don't like that.
Mhm.
What's Isildur's dad's name?
Elendil?
Elendil. He was great.
He's
He
good.
was really good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
him and all the stuff between Durin and Elrond was fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I like that relationship. I think my biggest issue is I was like, dude, they got to nail the Númenóreans. Like, Númenóreans are supposed to be 7 feet tall, the most vicious warriors. Like, they're so ferocious that, like, in one of the stories, when they sail to Middle Earth to do battle with Sauron, him and, like, 100,000 orcs are like, oh, shit, dude. The Númenóreans are here. Like, and they all ran. And, like, Sauron came out and was like, dude, chill. Just take me. I don't want to do this with you guys. So, like, to show these disheveled, weird little like preteens with cracking voices that don't know
the worst armor designs of all time.
They look like cloth.
They look like
Listen,
plastic.
I read all that stuff in probably like 7th grade as well. I
Yeah.
haven't like I watched the Lord of the Rings movies often, but I haven't like read the books in a long time. My wife will sit down and watch it with me, which it makes it good for me, right? So anytime you can get the significant other to sit down and watch a show or indulge in the stuff that you like to indulge in, it's always a good time. So, you know,
I'll give it this
debate.
credit. It's better than the Halo TV show. So
See, I wouldn't even.
I never watched that.
I wouldn't even watch that. Wouldn't even do it.
I got
that
lots
game meant
of
too
opinions.
much to me.
That's a whole nother podcast, but I got
Wouldn't
lots
even
of
tell
opinions.
exactly. And see, so I kind of like branched off from Lord of the Rings, and I went down the Star Wars rabbit hole. So like I've read a lot of the books, I've read the comics, watched like all the stuff, right? And then the Disney movies came out, and I was like, "What did you do? Like, what did you do?" You know. But that's where my allegiance lies, is with space wizards. Not
Hey, Mike might have the band for you.
yeah.
You might
Yeah,
just
check
have to
out
list the band for
Mandalore.
Okay, I will check out
Our
Mandalore.
singer Conrad, he's a big EU dude, and he shares a lot of opinions with you. I don't feel as strongly about it.
He's a typical type of Star Wars fan that hates Star Wars.
Oh yeah, they do everything wrong.
All Star Wars fans,
but it's
hate
ours
Star
to
Wars.
hate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, so what's the biggest animal that you guys think you could fight? No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, I tell you, me and my kids have been watching the new Planet of the Apes trilogy recently.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't even take on the smallest one. Those things will literally rip your face off, like those shrimps and shit. So I don't know, man. But that's something that's actually been on my mind. I've lost a lot of sleep over this recently.
Yeah. I read something online that said that like 60% of Americans think they could fight a black bear or something like that. And I'm like,
no.
You guys are nuts.
That's a very American
fight a
take.
medium-sized dog.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I think maybe bare hands, that's a whole different thing. But if I had like a machete or something and I was going up against like a coyote, I would bet money I probably wouldn't die, but I wouldn't be comfortable going into it. But I don't know. We're really splitting hairs here.
I just think about the times I got bit by my pet rat, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
What, you had a pet rat?
It was a bad idea.
My,
She was
How did that
mean,
happen?
and she hated me.
my cat scratched me just the other day when I was picking it up from starting a fight. And this is the shit I have to deal with, and I almost threw him out the window, dude. So I don't know. I don't know how much I could put up with and persevere and win.
Let's go back to the rat here. How did that happen? How'd you get in? What was the thought behind getting a rat?
Someone just had a rat, and they were getting rid of her. Like, do you want one? And I was like, sure. And then I had it, and it was a miserable time.
What do they eat?
I don't remember now. I think I had some sort of rat food that I bought. This was like
Little pellets.
I was like 16 at the time. Yeah, something like pellets, something like that. I had a whole thing, and I got rid of it as soon as I could because I was like, I'm not the right person for this.
Look, I would never own a rat. I don't like them. But
Yeah.
this is why people come to our podcast to find out the real behind the scenes of Absolved. So it's cool to know that you had a pet rat. That's a fact that no one would ever know.
The fact that no one wanted to know.
Not
Well,
even just a pet rat. It was a secondhand rat.
Second,
You were given a real life like Scabbers, like a hand-me-down Harry Potter messenger rat or something.
That's
it
true.
was secretly a 40-year-old British man.
It's sleeping in your bed with you.
Oh man.
So let's actually get back to why people would want to listen to this. But okay, so what do you guys have going on for 2024? I think I saw something about you guys starting to write more music. Like, where are you guys at with that? And what's kind of the game plan for the next few months?
Yeah, we have 5, 6, 7 songs in the hopper right now that we really just need to flesh out to its kind of final product. But a lot of the groundwork's there. We just got to get in and jam it out, demo through it. So, yeah, we're hoping to have a release here soon. I know we're going to be doing at least a single within the next month or two, something to whet people's whistles with, keep them interested. And then I think other than that, we're not playing any shows until April. We're going to play the General Violence Conference that NARC puts on every year. There's going to be some actually big names in hardcore that are coming out.
I don't
to
know
play
if
that.
anything's been announced yet, though, so I don't know if we have the right
I'm
to
not
say
saying
anything.
anything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything. And then immediately after that, I think we're going to go do a little short 4-day Southwest run again. Just get back out there, get ourselves in front of as many eyes and ears that want to check us out. And then there might be some other things in the works with a band from Denver to go on a run with them later in the summer too. So that's the majority of what we have going on. Some new music, some new dates of going around to our neighboring states and cities and getting in front of as many new kids as we can.
Yeah, we kind of hit the shows pretty hard last year. So the first couple of months of this year, we're like, we need to really buckle down and get some writing done and really, flesh out these ideas we've just been tossing around for forever. That's our big plan for now.
Well, that was like a big point me and Trevor wanted to know about because 2 EPs is not enough Absolved music. So we definitely need more. And I was going to say that Dallas is only like a 19-hour drive. So you guys, it's technically the Southwest. Texas is technically the Southwest. So,
well, the thing about Texas, man, is like that's a whole tour in and of itself. Like we could go do 5 dates there, and we have enough connections with different bands in different cities to make that work. So who knows?
Yeah, if you got gear, we'll fly out. I'm just saying.
I don't have gear. I can invite you to some like real good fried chicken, but I don't have gear, and it's hard,
Is it in Dallas or Austin where they have that sick like outdoor venue where some of these tours have been hitting?
I think it's Austin.
It's Austin. Okay.
Yeah. Which don't do that in the summer because it's hot.
Oh man, we were in Tucson in July, man. I almost quit. I went through a whole like Costco size container of baby wipes just trying to keep myself fresh that day, and all the cockroaches running around just had me in a spiral. But yeah, we're trying to focus on more quality over quantity this year, right? Like a really, really good release of good songs, not just for the sake of releasing songs, but shit that we're really into, that we believe in, that like we gave our all with. Definitely, I think, want to scale back a little bit on the local shows. One problem that we've always wanted to avoid from the beginning has always been a talking point of this band is I don't want to be that band that plays every single local show. Not only because that's tiring, but I mean, it can be tiring for the audience too. There's no urgency in it where it's like, well, why would I go see Absolved this weekend when I have 2 other chances this month to go see him too, right? It's not a big deal. Case in point, like that's why a lot of those Sub for Santa shows that Grudge City would put on were such a big deal because it's like, oh, dude, I don't know when I'm going to be able to see Aftermath of a Train Wreck or City to City again. They don't have anything announced. They don't play that often. Like, I got to go and make the best of it. So I think that's what we're aiming for. A lot more too. We don't want to burn ourselves out, and want to focus a little bit more time on doing more often smaller runs of tour dates too.
Yeah, getting out on the road, getting to places we've never played before, and
Mm-hmm.
places we've never been before, even, just experience things.
So you guys have been in bands for a long time. I know that I think Josh said he's been in bands with one or both of you, or the drummer or something like that. So
Yeah.
Josh
how
Nemchek?
Yeah. Do you know Josh very well, Mike?
He's been in bands with Nick before. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been in bands with him, but he's been in bands with tons of people I know.
Yeah. So we've known Josh for a long time. You guys have known, well, I believe you've known Josh for a long time. How has his rise to power been something you guys have had interesting? Because I remember him with, I don't know if you saw his birthday post, but the low V, right? He was that long-haired little emo kid that used to hang
Dude, he
out
was
with
that
us.
Rice Core loving. I remember his MySpace handle was like Josh X Nemchek in parentheses Christ loves you. Ogden went full headfirst into the Christ core stuff, really tugging off of Sleeping Giant, which one of my favorite bands ever to come out of here too. But yeah, dude, to go from this little beanpole of a dude with a big key around his neck, deep V, toms, like any sort of like Christcore metalcore starter pack animation meme you'd see on the internet was exactly Josh. Like,
first tattoo was the hands with a pray always kind of thing. Like,
yeah, like right there, right?
no, it was on his upper arm with the tree.
Oh no, but I thought the hands. Yeah,
Oh,
anyway.
he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
So
now he's this freaking beat down beefcake riff machine that me and Mike we brought it up at our show in Ogden. His stance with the hard elbow, where he really gets into the strumming.
The heaviest sound out of a Telecaster I've ever
on
seen.
all of us all the time. Like you can really get the bicep going with that. But that dude rules, man. He's been in some killer bands, and anything he's in, the riffs are going to be heavy, and it's going to be some big boy mosh hours. So that's his trajectory, man, and we're all here for it. One of the coolest, nicest dudes around. One of the first Ogden dudes I ever met back probably in 2007 or 8. Was always super, super kind to me. Took me under his wing when I thought all kids north of Salt Lake wanted to beat my ass, and turned out that wasn't true because he vouched for me. So I like Josh a lot. Absolutely.
we love Josh, and just light ribbing here just because I know that you've had some history with him. So, but
was he on the cover of the Close Grip demo? Was that him?
Was the cover with he's lifting
like a t-shirt over his face, and he's
That's
just all
Josh.
ripped.
Or like a flag. That is Josh.
I feel like that was the
that's
turning point
Josh.
for him, where he went from skinny Christcore to beefcake.
He was still skinny in that picture, but that was the beginning of the lift, right?
Yeah, that's the
now
turning
he's insane, right? Like now he like benches us like together probably.
Oh,
so
yeah. With chains.
chains, exactly. So no, he's a good dude. So
yeah,
cool guys.
Well, that's really all I got. So appreciate you guys jumping on. Seriously, you guys are like one of the tops. I'm a playlist dude. I get these big like 2,000 song playlists and stuff, and Absolved is always on there. They're always coming on and stuff. So
thank you.
Seriously, appreciate you guys jumping on. And you guys,
before I forget,
yeah,
I would be remiss. This would be a disservice to all of us and God and all these witnesses listening to this later. So back to your guys' kind of review of us an episode or two ago. I don't know when this comes out. You brought up during some of kind of our off-timey breakdowns, you guys name dropped Misery Signals more than once, if I remember. And I see a smile already coming over Sweet Nemesio's mouth down there. That you guys know how to get directly into my heart of hearts, man. Misery Signals was everything for me.
I was gonna say I've got one more question. What are you guys looking forward to like this year in terms of shows? So Furnace Fest has announced their first 4, right? I highly expect that Misery Signals will be on that show.
Of course.
So I think that they're coming.
I think some of them couldn't get over the border and couldn't play.
Yeah.
So I've told this story before. I think you guys would like it. I'll make it the 30-second skinny.
You're good, man.
Yeah, we got time.
I got a burnt CD of their first LP of Malice and the Magnum Heart. This is probably 2006. Listening down to it in my room. Heaviest shit I'd listened to up until that time was maybe old Under Oath, kind of death metal-y stuff. And I heard that first song, like A Victim of Target, just come in. And I was like, oh, dude, this is the shit. 5 songs in, I hear footsteps coming down to the basement. My mom pops her head in, and I have the remote to my stereo. I turn it off. She goes, so what was that you were just listening to, son? Like, oh, that's a new band. She goes, I usually don't mind your screamo, but the minute that music came on, I felt the spirit leave our house. So I'm going to ask you not to play that anymore, and I'm actually going to have to take that CD from you, son. I reluctantly handed it over to her. Couldn't stop thinking about the album the rest of the day. Later that evening, when my parents are laying in bed together watching Jeopardy, I walked directly into their room, looked them straight in the eye, opened my mom's sock drawer where I knew she kept my shit, grabbed it, said goodnight. They said goodnight to me back. I went downstairs, and nothing ever came up again. So part 2 of that is Stu from Misery Signals, tours and plays with Comeback Kid, has for a long time. They came here and played Kilby Court just back in October. And Dan Fletcher, our friend that runs Ill Will and is in Run Into the Sun, is friends with him and told him the story after the show because I left 30 seconds too early to tell him myself. And he said, if Misery Signals knew that we scared one Mormon family, like it was all worth it. All of it was worth it, man. Like that's the band's goal all along. So I'm glad that you touched on some Misery Signals in there, man, because even like my vocal cadence, I rip so much from that first album, how I separate my syllables and make things as clear and discernible as I can. So I really, really had to thank you guys for humoring me with that for a few minutes. I could talk about Misery Signals and nauseam.
Oh, I freaking love that. But yeah, back to the question then. So what shows are coming or what tours are coming that you guys are looking forward to? Because obviously you guys are playing melodic hardcore, but what are you going to?
What's the personal side of that? What shows are you excited for? Or stuff.
What is coming through? I heard whispers that Magnitude is going to be coming through Salt Lake here soon. So that would probably be number 1 for me. Oh man, Take Offense is going to be
just
coming
putting
through
that
next
out
month.
there.
What do you say, Mike?
I would love to play that show. Just putting that out in the world.
Yeah.
Manifesting.
Should we break our show fasting rule till April to jump on that if we can?
I would. Yeah, if it's a good show, we will definitely
It's a
play
good
it.
show. We're so easy, dude. We're so easy. Every man has his price.
Dude, their Magnitude is freaking baller live too. Well, that was one of the better shows I saw last year. So.
Oh, yeah, dude. I don't think they've come through here before, and I don't really ever get out to fests, so they're definitely one of those fest circuit bands where if they come through, it's a big deal. Like when Mind Force, they booked them here for Wild West Fest. Like that was a really big deal. So, I mean, that's a couple I have. I remember off the top of my head. There's so much more coming through. Do you remember anything, Mike?
I'm drawing a complete blank. I'm not, but I don't really go to a lot of fests either. I'm more of a watch it on Hate 56 and 197 when it comes out.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to a few things. I know that the Kubla Khan show got announced to come through here. I think that I'll go catch that one. I think that's in April. And then, who was the other one? 8-6 with the Callous Doughboys. I don't know if you guys are fans of either one of those bands, but I think that I'll probably see that one and they slip through. But I think that this week is like, if we're talking hardcore, we have Cruelty playing Kilby on Tuesday, I believe, right? I might try to slip out to that one. But
That
No,
Death
I'm
Before Dishonor show just got announced at the
Yes,
That's true.
That's right.
Trying to
That
think
might be a good
there was
one.
something else big that was coming through that I cannot think of right now.
Yeah.
As cheesy as it sounds, the concert I'm looking forward to most this year is Hot Water Music, because I have not seen them in like 18 years.
Oh,
So I freaking love Hot Water Music.
Listen to them a little bit. Maybe I've seen them too. I'm not sure.
They're coming with Quicksand.
Oh,
So
sick.
I'm super pumped for that.
I
Did
love
Quicksand
that
just come through recently?
Full time.
Quicksand did come through. They played with Glitterer.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, Quicksand's come through twice, I feel like, within the last just handful of years.
Yeah, weird, right? Because I don't think they played for a long time, at least.
No, they're like an older band. That's why I was like, oh, this is a sick tour. Like, what's the guy's name from Hot Water Music? That guy's got to be like 60 years old now. And then Quicksand, like those are older bands, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I almost said Chuck Berry, but it's something like that.
It is Chuck Reagan.
Chuck Reagan.
I follow him on social media. He's just kicking it in California, fishing all the time. So super jealous.
Well, guys, like we said, we really do appreciate you guys jumping on. Shout out your socials real quick. I think you guys are just Absolved.HC pretty much.
Yeah,
but
Absolved.HC, Instagram, Twitter. You can find our link tree on there with links to all of our music wherever you listen to stuff. Just follow along. We'll be releasing some stuff here soon, releasing some dates, and hopefully just keeping busy doing what we do.
Awesome. Well, hey,
Sweet.
We really appreciate it. You guys have a good night. We'll catch you all soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks.
See ya.
Peace.